Hi, this is Nancy Bradford again on August 29th. I haven't made a video for a while. I have several things to talk about in this one that I've been mulling over in my mind, and some of the things are related to some things I posted on Facebook. I'm trying not to spend so much time on Facebook. I've spent too much time on there and need to do some other things. So I'm dealing with several things here I wanted to talk about first. Electrical it was Wednesday night, I believe. I had some concern about some electrical issues, and I flipped a lot of the breakers and turned them off, and I ended up calling about 1:30, 2 a.m. and some people came out with their thermoimaging meter. The smaller fire department up the road came along with the EMS people from the other direction, and they walked around and checked, and they didn't find anything, but I did have a lot of the breakers already off. So if there had been a hot wire somewhere in the ceiling or something, it would maybe have cooled down by then and not shown up. So I've just kept the breakers off, and I need to have an electrician come in and check things out. One of the things that becomes challenging is finding someone that is someone who's independent and will work and do the work and not be directed by the people that work in the industry of personal destruction, as I call it. Also, as of yesterday, I'm dealing with water issues. Seems to be some kind of backup, so I'm not flushing the toilets. This is the third issue with water that I've had in this house. I moved in the fall of 2011, and sometime within the next 6 to 8 months, I don't remember exactly now, I have that information somewhere, the water line broke out front. There's a place where it comes in, and then the line runs all the way down the front yard to where the meter is, and they had to dig it up in order to repair it out here in front. And I don't know if when we were moving, if we drove over it with the heavy truck or what, but anyway, we had to let the grass grow up around that area and have it marked so it's not being driven over at this time. Then the second issue was the winter of, let's see, we're in 2015. So it was the winter of 2013-2014. There was a water line break in the original part of the house, the older part, and they came in and repaired that. And the water to this rest of the part of the house has been fine since then. And then this problem that has now shown up just in the last couple days. I have extra water. I had run extra water before I had the water line break in the other part of the house in the winter, and so I had water to flush the toilets and stuff, but I'm not flushing the toilets right now because I don't know what's going on with I don't know if there's a septic tank out there or if it's just a leach field. I'm not sure with that. That wasn't really covered when I bought the house, and I should have asked more questions about that. So I have to have that checked out. After watching what happened in New Orleans 10 years ago, kind of puts things in perspective. You know, I'm dealing with a couple of things that are inconvenient and not much fun. Those people were totally displaced. As I posted recently, I was displaced by technology that was beamed into my skull. Or if it's not technology, then it's something else that hasn't been explained to me. But I was displaced by a siren sound from 9 p.m. at night until 6 the next morning, and every time I tried to lay down and rest, it would start up again. And I'm not going to go over all that because I've talked about it in my videos and I've posted about it. On August 24th, I posted that that was 11 years ago that I had surgery, major surgery, and I gave a little bit of information about that. Now that I realize that I've been a non-consenting experimentation subject, it makes me go back and look at a lot of things that happened before, during, and after I was in the hospital, and the people that were there, the people that were present and stayed with me and helped me, and some others who came in to kind of participate in the Zerzetzen process. When you're talking about medical stuff, this little spot right here started out, small, and it was getting better, and I kept putting meds on it, and during the night last night, then it kind of blossomed out and it's above the skin. And a while ago, I was able to get one of those little stiff hair things out of the middle of it that I have on my face that cause those Morgellon type lesions. And as I said before, in one of the videos I had a wire type thing come out of my navel plus 2 fan-shaped objects, and my navel's been sore the last day or two, and there's been other stuff little by little coming out of there. So I don't know, exactly what's going on with that. I also have some areas on my back where I get lesion type things, and once I start digging at it, then I get various items out of it. I still, as I said before, I still don't get the red and blue thread things that some people are pulling out of their bodies. But I do have issues with like this, and what causes. I think I said in one of the other videos that I used to have what I thought were pimples, and I tried to pop them and they wouldn't pop. And I think now they're related to the rest of this. Since I have my hair pulled back today, if you look at my face, you can see the collagen breakdown on this side. That's when I noticed, let's see, it was probably in 2009 or early 2010. I got up one morning and looked in the mirror, and there was this little indentation there. And I'm sure it had been evolving, and I just hadn't noticed it, but one morning it was very evident, and I thought, well, what is that? And it's collagen breakdown, because I normally was always sleeping on this side of my face, on this side of my body, and so this is the side that was exposed for the extremely low frequencies to hit, and the collagen breakdown is greater on that side. And then I talked about these little lines that formed over time and some other things that have happened. But the asymmetrical feature is noticeable. When my hair's pulled back, more noticeable. I've wanted to show you this little thing. This was thrown out at the end of my driveway. I picked it up at the end of my driveway one day several weeks ago, and the message is, sometimes I just want to disappear and see if anyone would miss me. This is a psyops. This is the type of psyops stuff that's done to those of us who are subjected to this. Because that's not the only thing that's popped up about that kind of thing. Not everything that happens to me is part of the psyops or part of the program. But what happens is you're so overly sensitized, which is purposeful. You're overly sensitized to the traffic around you. You're overly sensitized to the people who come into the store where you're shopping. You're overly sensitized that because you've been followed and very much followed until you get to the point where you're overly sensitized, and then they can back off and just let you react to the people who are going about their normal business. So this kind of stuff, the scripting, the staging, it's all very much thought out. If she does this, then we'll do that. If she says this, then we'll say that. If she does this instead, then we'll do that. So the if-then cycle is constantly going on. The artificial intelligence, the transhumanism, the mind control, all of those things are known by people in the military, in the government, members of Congress. Some of them know about it. Some of the members of Congress know about the non-consenting human experimentation because I've continuously posted what John Glenn said about it, and he tried for several years to work on that issue, and he kept running into the pushback and the silence and the you can't talk about this, and this is classified, and it's national security and all that stuff. And it's kind of interesting because right after he left Congress, is like in a year or two, is when he went on that next space expedition to be the oldest person in space. So he was kind of given a new task, and since he wasn't in Congress anymore, he didn't have the floor to stand on and speak about it. And so that got set aside. I have contacted various members of Congress, some personally, so I know they got the information because I handed it to them. And some gave to gatekeepers in offices, and some I've tried to send on email or Facebook or through the snail mail. And some of that I think maybe got to people, but you don't know how much of it gets where it's supposed to go. Other people who have dealt with the kind of issues I've dealt with are report that they've had their mail diverted or opened. And during the church committee hearings in the mid-70s, it was admitted that some of the agencies had been opening people's mail and making copies of it. That was one of the things that was really disappointing to me, because I always gave the United States Postal Service high points because my mail always seemed to get to me and get to the people I sent it to. But maybe more of it got diverted than I knew. The personal mail that I sent to people, like cards and letters, I used to send a lot of personal mail. The personal mail I've sent more recently has been regarding the human experimentation and the Zerzetz and COINTEL issues. I still have the sign in my yard, www.mindjustice.org, www.unwittingvictim.com, and the words "the hidden evil." And you can Google or whichever search engine you use to see what the hidden evil is. Somebody has written about it. Some people say NLP, neurolinguistic programming, is the hidden evil. There's so much technology that the people who have high security clearances know about and use and see used, that has not been disclosed to the rest of the population. So I'll put the links again for the ones I just said, and the mind control, the History Channel mind control article, and President Clinton's press conference on the human radiation experiments. That was in 1995. That was 20 years ago. At that time, the Department of Energy head and a lady from Johns Hopkins were with him at the press conference. And they put out a really large, thick book. It was, one of those like this report that several people had spent several years putting together. Those two ladies and a team of other people that were there in the audience. And I don't have that book, but I suppose I should get it, because I don't know if there's a list of people like me in there or not. It was never I was never asked if I wanted to be in any kind of experimentation program. My father worked at Goodyear Atomic Plant in Piketon, and they were working with uranium, 238, 235, you know, the various numbers. Daddy was, he was periodically put through a physical physical examination, as were all the people who worked up there. Most of the people that worked up there were men. I know there were some women that worked there. I don't know what the percentage was. I would say the percentage of women initially was pretty low, probably, in the offices and places like that. And maybe over the years more have gotten into the more technical part. But as far as I know, Dad didn't volunteer for us to be in some kind of experiment, but he may have done that and not told Mom and me. From what I've been able to figure out, it doesn't seem like my brother and sister are in the program, but maybe they are, just not to the extent. Maybe they haven't been subjected to the really heavy stuff that I got hit with 5 years ago. The low-level stuff, I'm sure, started in the early 90s. And there was stuff going on way before that. I can pull up examples of other stuff over the years now that I know were probably related to people working in the background of my life. It's not okay with me. It was a violation. It is a violation. So I'm still looking for answers. If I sound a little down today, dealing with electrical and water and the constant bombardment since early January to now, the year 2015 has been pretty much a bombardment of frequencies from somewhere. Some people say the sun's sending off a lot of stuff. I think there's probably something to that. They started up the collider, CERN, over in Europe. They started it up again. And I don't know if that can be felt all over the planet or not. So, still a lot of questions to be answered. There are people who know the answers. I think there are people in my family who know more about what's been going on in my life than I have. So I hope you're having a good weekend. As I said, it's August 29th, and that's my report for today.